Thank you, Chairman Well, for these very inspirational words. And finally, my friends, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the General Secretary of the Rotary Foundation and the Rotary International, our dear friend, John Hewko. John is a lawyer by profession. He is a member of the Rotary Club of Kiev, founder member of the Rotary Club of Kiev in Ukraine. He was a member or associate with, as international partner with a law firm Baker & McKenzie, very famous around the world. And he has worked for the Millennium Challenge Corporation, a US government agency established to deliver a very, very important foreign assistance from the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a man who leads more than 800 staff members of our organization, our General Secretary.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here in Hiroshima and to be part of this Rotary Peace Forum. I know that many of you have traveled a long way to be part of this event, and it's really wonderful to see so many Rotarians gathered here, inspired by President Tanaka's theme of peace through service. Now, one of the things that's most valuable about this event is the opportunity it offers for us to take a step back and gain some perspective on just how it is that Rotary's work builds peace. Rotary has historically had a strong institutional focus on peace. It's part of our mission, and we have some very significant projects and programs specifically designed to help build peace. There's also been a great deal of work going on at the club and district level around the world this year, reflecting President Sakuji Tanaka's theme of peace through service. But that's not what I'm here to talk about this afternoon. Instead, today, I'd like to talk to you about the rest of what we do in Rotary. The community and humanitarian service that, without looking like peace building, is immensely effective at creating communities and societies that are calmer, more prosperous, and less prone to conflict. As I'm sure all of you know, we in Rotary have 6 areas of focus for the humanitarian and service project grants made by our Rotary Foundation. The first, of course, is peace and the prevention and resolution of conflict. The other 5 are disease prevention and treatment, including the eradication of polio, water and sanitation, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, and economic and community development. Now, Rotary is, of course, a non-governmental organization. It's part of the private sphere. And we don't work with the same considerations or limitations that governments involved in development assistance do. But to a large degree, the beliefs that underlie our decisions in choosing those areas of focus mirror those of governments when they determine how to allocate foreign aid. And we all agree that meeting the essential human needs of the individual to live in safety, security, and dignity with hope for the future is the best possible way to create regional stability and prevent conflict before it begins. Now, the very big difference between Rotary and governments, of course, is that governments are not usually motivated by altruism. If they're providing aid to another government, often it's because there's some compelling national interest. And they'll only help where and how that interest is best served. In Rotary, on the other hand, we help because it's the right thing to do. And in Rotary, we believe in the cumulative impact of community service when it's done right and done on a global scale. To put it simply, in Rotary, we help where and how we can, as intelligently and as effectively as we can, to benefit as many people as possible. And this is how Rotary's areas of focus were chosen. as the areas where we see maximum return from our investment in time, effort, and resources. By helping to build a healthier, more literate society, you are doing the single most effective thing you can do to establish peace in the long term. A society that's educated, self-sufficient, and has its citizens productively engaged in commerce and agriculture and industry is generally more stable and less prone to conflict. And that's one thing that just about everyone in the world of humanitarian development can agree on. And in other areas, questions that were once a matter of debate are now becoming matters of consensus. Sustainability and local ownership, for example, are now universally accepted as the key to effective assistance. And when we start talking in larger terms, as we're talking today, when we start talking about lifting entire societies and entire nations out of extreme poverty, we find that the involvement of the private sector is absolutely crucial to success in the long term. And this, I believe, is where Rotary has the greatest role to play, because we are a humanitarian service organization composed of people who are themselves key players in the private sector. Our members are business people, they're professionals, they're community leaders, and they're the best group imaginable to help bridge the gap that exists between the development community and the private sector. Now, the ultimate goal, of course, of humanitarian assistance is to create a situation where outside assistance is no longer needed. It's as old as the idea that if you give someone a fish, you feed them for a day. But if you teach them to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. Aid that goes from government to government is not enough, is never going to be enough to effect lasting change. Change has to happen on the ground, where it affects individuals, starting with investment in education, sanitation, and health care. This kind of aid builds the groundwork for effective public services and successful private enterprise. And that's where Rotary can do so much. We can help struggling communities build the conditions they need to thrive on their own by supporting health and education and by giving support where it's needed to encourage local development, local entrepreneurship, and ownership of local problems and solutions. Rotary is unique, and it is uniquely capable. We have a local presence in over 34,000 communities and countries at all stages of development. And because of our structure, which combines local presence with the strength of our international organization and the backing of our great Rotary Foundation, we have incredible potential to help build on the ground, to help develop best practices, and to effect real, tangible, and lasting change. Let me be clear. Rotary service is not a substitute for competent governance or for official government development assistance. Rotarians and other non-governmental organizations cannot and do not play the role that should be filled by government on a local or on a national level. But Rotary does have a vital role to play in bridging the gap between what government can provide and what a community may need to move forward. Whether it's through microfinance or mentoring or vocational training, whether it's through improving sanitation, making education more accessible, or educating new mothers. All of this service, on any scale, represents a real and significant step in the right direction. And when you have a private sector that's self-sustaining, when you have an education system that provides real opportunity, when you have a healthcare system that reliably meets the needs of its population, however that comes about, through whatever combination of public and private sector involvement, that's when you have set the stage for a society that is no longer reliant on outside aid, but is self-sufficient and stable. That's when you have built the groundwork for peace, and Rotary can make that happen. Now, I'd like to close by mentioning what I see as a seventh avenue, a seventh path to peace through our Rotary service, one that is, to my mind, every bit as important as our 6 areas of focus. And that's the 4-way test. When Rotarians use it, act on it, and live by it, when we do what's right, speak the truth, and base our decisions on goodwill, better friendships, and the common good, we model an approach that is the absolute foundation of a functioning society. By demonstrating an ethical, honest way of doing business, by working in an atmosphere of transparency and openness, and fundamentally by exhibiting a zero-tolerance approach to corruption in every form, we contribute directly to an environment that is conducive to peace. And by working through all of our areas of focus and all of our avenues of service, we do the most important thing we can possibly do for a peaceful world. We help others to help themselves. Arigato. Thank you very much.
Okay, my friends, we are at the end of this segment of the program. Before to close, the President Tanaka wished to invite all the current governors, all the current district governors here in the room, please stand up. All the current governors, all the current governors. Governors 2013-2014. Grazie tanti. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask you again to recognize our President, Sakuchi Tanaka, the Chairman of the Rotary Foundation, and the General Secretary, John Hewko. And they will be here for a picture because they never are together because they are moving around. Yeah?
ジア委員長にも素晴らしい拍手をどうぞ。